What does Mark Carney believe? Mark Carney is trying to extend Liberal rule in Canada to a fourth term, and he was rapidly installed as Prime Minister even while Liberals mostly shielded him from the public eye. There has not been much scrutiny, either of his financial interests or of his ideas. So what can we learn from his past writing and speeches about his ideas and his real agenda for Canada? Back in 2021, Mark Carney published a book called Values: Building a Better World for All. This book was similar to one published earlier the same year by Klaus Schwab called Stakeholder Capitalism: A Global Economy That Works for Progress, People, and Planet. So two prominent global commentators, two books with a similar thesis. Both books argued for something called stakeholder capitalism. Stakeholder capitalism is the idea of big corporations and big government coming together in a strategic partnership. Corporations considering values as opposed to just the bottom line when making decisions, and working with governments to push their chosen values through the economic system. Essentially, the model is that elites come together to identify values that they think are important, and then they use their collective power to push these values onto you. This is a highly centralized and elitist way of thinking about political and economic decision making. But what values does Mark Carney want to push? How does this play out in the real world? For Carney, a core part of this so-called values agenda has been to use this alliance of big government and big corporate power to defund Canada's national energy economy. While patriotic Canadians today are talking about the need to attract more investment and make our economy more competitive, the written and recorded works of Mark Carney stand out as calling on global funds, corporations, to work with governments around the world to direct dollars away from key parts of Canada's national economy, especially away from Canadian industry in areas of resource development and manufacturing. He wants this partnership of big corporations and big government to direct dollars away from Canadian industries that he does not like, all for green left ideological reasons. When it comes to moving investment out of Canada, Mark Carney has walked the talk himself. He moved the corporate headquarters of his company, Brookfield, out of Canada to New York. Stakeholder capitalism, defunding the Canadian energy economy, these are Carney's radical ideas. Carney has, in fact, repeatedly praised and endorsed Greta Thunberg. But while activists like Thunberg use the tools of protest and disruption, Carney is trying to use banking and financial tools to the same ideological ends. He wants corporate and government leaders to come together through so-called stakeholder capitalism to decide which countries and which industries get investment and which countries and industries do not. Different toolkit from Greta Thunberg, but the same objective: the shutting down of highly productive parts of Canada's economy and the defunding of energy and manufacturing jobs, all because of ideology. So I look forward to the debate that we're going to have about Mark Carney's ideas. His book, the speeches, it's all there for anyone to see.